Assalamu alaikum. So we are about 9 days away from Ramadan, and the questions are coming in, and some of them are the same questions. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to specifically talk about exercise during Ramadan. I'll do a series of videos as well on nutrition and the best things to eat and what supplements to take, but today I want to specifically talk about exercise. So exercise during Ramadan is really specific to what exactly you're doing and what your goals and what's the best thing for you to do at what time. So my name is Mubarakah Ibrahim. I'm a health and happiness coach. If you are seeing this video on whatever page you're on, go ahead and like the page so that you can get notified of the series of videos that I'll be doing on the Ramadan Q A. So today we are talking about how to work out, when to work out, and what's the best type of workout to do when you're fasting. So just as a quick recap, if I have any people joining me who's not Muslim, you may not know that in about a week and a half, Muslims all around the world, 1.8 billion people, will be fasting from sunrise to sunset. So that's no food and yes, no water. No water and food. Here, I live in the northeast of the United States, and we will be fasting for about 17 hours, I believe. So it is from the dawn, the thread of dawn, until the red comes in the sky in the evening time. If you are not working out right now, you probably should not decide to start a fitness routine the first day of Ramadan. You should continue to work out if you are already working out. The reason why I suggest, so I'm going to kind of like go category by category. People who don't work out, you haven't worked out in a year, but you decide, hey, Ramadan is the time for a fresh start. It is not, not for exercise. Part of the reason why you don't want to use Ramadan as a time for you to kickstart your super hard fitness routine is because you have a greater likelihood of jeopardizing your actual fast. So this is not intermittent fasting per se. It is a spiritual fast. It is an obligation to fast, and you should not do things that are going to sabotage that. When you first start a fitness routine, your body can respond in various types of ways, and some of those ways including lowering your immune system if you are doing it in a really intense way without building up. Another thing that can happen is your muscles become extra sore, right? They're adjusting to you starting a fitness routine. So Ramadan is probably not the best time for you to start a fitness routine. If you already exercise, yes, you should definitely continue to exercise. But you should not use Ramadan as a time for you to hit your PR in your deadlifts or run that 8-minute mile that you haven't been able to run all of this time. It should be a time that you're trying to maintain the gains that you have had throughout the year, not a time for you to take it to the next level. Jamaica, I just mentioned that Ramadan is not the best time for you to start a fitness routine. If you have already started, great, you should continue. When we are talking about exercise, there are two main types of exercise. Technically, there's about three, but let's specifically talk about cardiovascular training and resistance training and the difference between the two and why you want to approach them differently during your fast. When you are fasting, you are not eating, you are not drinking. For people who already exercise, particularly doing cardiovascular exercise, it's probably not going to be a problem for you to continue your run. Do your run after Fajr or in the middle of the day or in the end of your day. Doing cardiovascular exercise is not a problem any point during your day. So what is cardio? Cardiovascular exercise is running, walking, a Zumba class, rowing, riding a bike, swimming. Well, you probably don't want to swim while you're fasting because you can make a mistake and drink the water, but all of those are considered cardiovascular exercise. Exercises where your main benefit is the raising of the heart rate. Technically, exercise is anything that raises your heart rate above 55% of your heart rate max. And you can figure that out if you're a heart rate person and you're trying to figure out, like, you know, what, you say you got a Fitbit and you're looking at your heart monitor, 220 minus your age times 0.55, that's 55% of your heart rate max. If your heart rate isn't going to at least that number, then technically it's not considered cardiovascular exercise. So this is the reason why when people say, oh, well, if I went to the mall and walked around, is that cardio? Probably not. Unless you're really, really deconditioned and you don't walk ever anywhere, then it might be considered cardio. But cardiovascular exercise is 55% of your heart rate max, which is your heart rate max is, again, 220 minus your age. When you are doing cardio, because your muscles are working, but they are not pushing against resistance, and they are not, so pushing against resistance, what it does is that it creates very little small micro tears, right? So that is the key of what differentiates when you want to do this exercise. If you're doing a cardiovascular exercise and it's at moderate pace, then you can do it at any point during your day, and it should not cause any type of problem for you. But if you're doing a resistance training exercise, that includes body weight exercise, anything that's going to leave you sore, that's going to leave your muscles with those small tears we talked about in previous videos. Remember, your muscles they're like strings, and every time you do resistance training, in order for your muscles to grow, those strings kind of tear apart very slightly, not in a negative way. This is just a natural way in which your body builds more muscles. That creates those small tears, and then it fills it in with more muscles. That's how your muscle grow. You do not want to do that at the beginning of your fasting day, because when your muscles go to rebuild themselves, they are going to be looking for amino acids. They're going to be looking for those proteins. And if you are not consuming those proteins, meaning you're not eating anything, then your muscles will take away from the other muscles, right? So your legs is really sore. They need to rebuild. They're going to go grab some protein from your arms. They're going to grab some protein from your back, from your chest. You are going to cannibalize your own muscle in order for that muscle to grow. So you actually end up weaker by the end of Ramadan instead of increasing your strength. The best time to do resistance exercise is within 2 hours of the time that you are actually going to eat. So again, it's about figuring out what's practical, what's not. So if you're breaking your fast at 7:30 in the evening, you can do a workout at 6. And then by the time you break your fast, your muscles are still looking for the protein, right? The other, just a side note, we're not talking about nutrition today, but just a quick side note is if your goal is to build muscle, you must eat protein. Your muscles do not build off of fat and carbohydrates. Your muscles need a complete amino acid profile. That is what it physically uses to build muscle. It's kind of like if you want to build a house, you're not going to go and grab leaves, you're going to grab bricks, right? Because the leaves are not going to build a house. So resistance training within 2 hours of you eating, so either 2 hours before, or I would recommend if you're going to do it after iftar, wait at least 2 hours after you've eaten your meal. because once you eat your meal, which is probably going to be the biggest meal of the day, that food needs to be at least mostly digested before you go do a workout. Because if it's not digested, then your blood flow is going to be diverted towards your muscles, and your digestion will not happen efficiently, and your muscles will not get the blood and the energy and the oxygen that they need to work efficiently. So you want to allow your body to digest your food before you go and you do your workout. If you are concerned about whether or not you have to do a whole lot of different things during Ramadan, you should continue whatever program that you are doing now. Just lower your weights and increase your reps. Right? So one of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure that you are maintaining your gains, right? Ramadan is a time for maintenance. It's not a time for you to try to go for those PRs. You want to make sure that you are doing that in a way that also doesn't compromise your fast or compromise your energy level. And the best way for you to do that is lowering your weights and upping your reps. So if you are doing bicep curls with 15 pounds, you may say, hey, I normally do a bicep curl with 15 pounds for 15 reps. In Ramadan, I'm going to bring it down to 12 pounds, right? In Ramadan, I'm going to keep my 15 pounds and I'm only going to do 10 reps. Whatever it is, you need to lower the intensity some. Again, another reason why you want to do that is during the muscle rebuilding phase, it's not just happening after your workout, right? It's continuing throughout a 24-hour process at different levels. It may start off quite intense of you really needing lots of protein in that rebuilding process, but it continues throughout that 24-hour process. So you don't want to have your body in a state of it being nutrient deficient because you're putting more requirements on it, but you're eating less nutrients. I'm not talking about calories. I'm not talking about starvation. I'm talking about in general, because we are eating less, we're eating less nutrients than we would normally have. Hopefully that's also less calories. Again, it's all about practicality. Ansa asks if we can pray and exercise. Could we break fast with a date and water, pray and exercise, and then have a meal? It's, again, the rules are, if that works for you, the rules are do resistance training within 2 hours of eating a meal, right? Or 2 hours after you eat your meal. So however you want to fit that in your schedule. All right. Inshallah, tomorrow I will come on and talk a little bit more about the nutrition aspect of fasting and what some of the best things to eat to maintain your energy, to maintain your fitness level, and hopefully we'll give you some advice on how to have a healthy Ramadan. All right? I will talk to you then. Assalamu alaikum.